As someone who loves to work out and tries to get jacked, one of my biggest fears is having disproportionate legs. If you have small legs and a big upper body, then you're just gonna look like the stereotypical gym bro that everyone talks about. I knew this from the very beginning when I started training that I didn't want to be that guy with small legs and a big upper body. Not even to mention that having massive tree trunk legs is going to bring the aesthetic of your physique up substantially. I don't know about you, but I've never seen anyone with too big of legs. Having massive legs and specifically quads is going to give your physique that nice X frame. And because of this, I have never skipped a leg day in the last 7 years of my training. And I know a lot of people are going to say that's bullshit, but I'm gonna tell you right now, it's not. Not that training legs is my favorite muscle group. In fact, it's probably my least favorite muscle group to train, but I just don't wanna be that guy with the chicken legs and then the big upper body. All right, so in this video, I'm gonna share with you guys how I put some massive size on my legs and what I'm gonna do moving forward to continue to progress my legs further. So as per usual, before I get into all the specific exercises and everything like that, you need to understand how often I was training my legs. This might come as a surprise to some of you, but yes, I train legs twice a week. The reason I say this might be a surprise for some of you is because I know a lot of people only train legs once per week. And the reason they do that is because training legs can be super exhausting. So they think they need additional recovery time when really they don't. And I'm sure we all know that fatigue gets built up after a heavy squatting day. The way you feel for the rest of the day as well as the following day. You know, a lot of brain fog, just feeling lethargic. I've been there. It's not fun, but you got to do it to get your legs to grow. So with that being said, just because I train legs twice a week, that doesn't mean I don't hit them super hard. Which brings me to my next point. The intensity absolutely has to be there when you're training legs. And I know it's extremely difficult, but I want to get this point across because training legs is extremely exhausting. And a lot of times people use that to gauge their intensity, even though they could have pushed even more. Just because you're out of breath, that doesn't mean you can't push any more weight or get any more reps. You see, the legs are the strongest part of the body and they can really withstand a lot of tension. So you really need to push yourself on leg days. And if you catch yourself getting out of breath on a consistent basis training legs, then you got to do more cardio. I don't know what to tell you. All right, so now you understand how hard I was training my legs and how frequently I was training my legs. So let's get into all the exercises, sets, and reps. So what I recently started doing for my leg training was starting with hip flexors, because this part of your legs is extremely hard to hit unless you're isolating them as I am in this movement here. So what I'll do is get a normal handle attachment and attach it to the cable, and I'll put my foot through the handle and sort of kick my foot out and up. And for whatever reason, I don't see anyone train this muscle group, even though having big hip flexors is going to give the front of your legs, the quads, a really nice aesthetic look that a lot of people don't have. It's going to really tie in the aesthetic of your legs. On top of that, this exercise is also great to warm up your hips before you start moving into heavier compound movements. I do 3 sets, about 10 to 15 reps, going pretty light just to make sure I can really squeeze and contract my hip flexor. Now, if you've never done this movement before, it might be hard to feel your hip flexors activate, but I promise you, if you just stick with it, I promise you'll build that mind-muscle connection just like you did with all your other muscle groups. All right, so following that, I'll go into lying hamstring curls. This is my favorite exercise to warm up my knees as well as the rest of my joints and ligaments in my legs. The reason that is because it doesn't build up a lot of systemic fatigue, which leg extensions do for me. So when I do this exercise, I really make sure to squeeze at the top and control the eccentric as much as possible. The burn is absolutely insane, and this exercise is a must if you want to get some big hamstrings. I would do 3 sets, 10 to 15 reps, going to failure, of course. Now moving on to compound lifts. To no one's surprise, barbell back squats is going to be my favorite. However, I have been doing some hack squats recently just to mix it up. But I will say that barbell back squats are the king for building mass on your legs. I prefer doing normal squats as opposed to hack squats because really it's the foundation for any sort of leg workout in my opinion. It's really easy to progressive overload and increase the mechanical tension on your legs, which is absolutely crucial for leg growth. However, the only downfall for this is that if I go farther than 90 degrees, it starts to hurt my knees a little bit. So because of that, I just go to 90 degrees and I still notice a lot of growth and soreness in my quads, in my legs in general. So I'll do 3 working sets, 8 to 12 reps, and I'll probably do 2 to 3 warm-up sets as well. Next exercise is going to be barbell RDLs to really stretch out my hamstrings and squeeze my glutes. The trick with these is that you want to stick your hips out and really squeeze your glutes at the top. I noticed that when I do this exercise, it makes my hamstrings extremely sore the next day. I would also recommend using a belt and weightlifting straps so you're not putting yourself at a risk for injury. The belt will help keep your core tight for the duration of the movement. And also another key point with this exercise is that you don't want to be touching the ground and using that as momentum. This will help keep the constant tension throughout the duration of the movement. I do 3 sets, 10 to 12 reps. Now the next exercise is considered the holy grail when it comes to quad growth, and that is leg extension. The burn on these is absolutely insane, and I would attribute a lot of my quad growth to leg extensions. This exercise is pretty simple, just really squeeze at the top and control the eccentric. I do 3 sets, about 10 to 15 reps, going to failure of course. Now the last exercise is going to be seated calf raises. I prefer doing them seated because I feel like I can squeeze my calf significantly more than if I was doing them standing. Again, a pretty simple exercise, just really try to squeeze at the top and get a nice stretch at the bottom. I go pretty heavy here, but still keep the reps pretty high. I do about 15 reps, going to failure of course. So yeah, that's what my typical leg days look like like for the last 7-ish years, and that's probably what I'm going to be doing moving forward. And this is how I was able to build a lot of mass on my legs. So it's pretty simple. You don't need to overcomplicate it. Definitely give this workout a go for yourself and see how you like it.